Dorothy Height, a Bethune protege, became the fourth president of the National Council of Negro Women in 1957. Under her astute leadership, NCNW has continued to flourish, rising to new heights, moving women's issues and the human and civil rights agenda to international levels. Dr. Height is recognized as a leader, civil rights activist, self-help advocate, humanitarian, and bearer of the torch. And with the recent launching of the National Centers for African American Women and the Dorothy Height Leadership Institute, NCNW is prepared to continue its work on behalf of African American women and their families well into the next century.
This is a day when we will take a giant step forward to meet challenges we face and those we will face in the new century. The National Council of Negro Women is building on 60 years of service and advocacy to launch what we're calling the National Centers for African American Women.
Working to fulfill the dream and vision of her mentor and friend, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. Dorothy Height's work leaves no one behind. Black women, pillars of our survival as a race, doing the hard work with intelligence and grace. And Dr. Dorothy Height, president of the National Council of Negro Women, personifies the very best that we as women have to offer the nation. We're very proud to have her here with us today for so many reasons, Dr. Height. Please welcome her. Joining Dr. Height is Professor of Social Work and African American Studies at Richard Stockton College, Dr. Patricia Reed Merritt. Dr. Reed Merritt is the author of a graceful, powerful, and illuminating book called Sister Power. She explored the private side of the lives of 45 Wonder Women of color, talked about the leadership strategies that we need to take us into the 21st century. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Reed Merritt to the program. Dr. Height, we can't do anything but to begin with you. Again, it's just a pleasure and honor to have you join us. You work so closely with Mrs. Bethune, and you work so closely with so many of our leaders. I'm going to tell a story on you that you told to me. Dr. Height tells a story about Lyndon Johnson wanting to have a picture with her. She would constantly be placing the picture, but the brothers, for whatever reason, would not allow her to have her picture with Lyndon Johnson. One of them would slide up between her and Lyndon Johnson, sit on the side, so she never had her picture alone. She said, she said to me very gracefully, well, I finally got my picture. How'd you get that picture, and what are some of the gender issues that we African American women have to deal with as we grapple with these leadership issues?
Well, I think I got it really with the aid of one of the president's aides who just saw to it that I was moved into place and I could stay there. But you know, at a time like that, it's very difficult to elbow your way in when you're in the office of the president and when you are with such great men as we had. And I think the cause was so great that one couldn't be more preoccupied about yourself than about what we were there for.
You always elbow with infinite grace, and yet sometimes women's issues do have to be elbowed. When will our community deal more fully with some of the women's issues that we're dealing with?
Oh, I do not think for one moment that we need to skirt the issues. I think for too long, we, even as women, particularly African American women, we have been so concerned about racism and its reality and its real that we have tended to make ourselves next or to accept what we shouldn't accept. But I think the good thing is that the civil rights movement really is what gave real impetus to the women's movement. And I think we have learned now that there are many issues that are women's issues that cannot just be dealt with by saying, you're already included. I think we all know that that is not true. And, you know, Mary McLeod Bethune herself took a very strong hand on women's issues because the story is told about many, many years ago that Bill Trent told it, that she was attending and holding a meeting down in Memphis, Tennessee. And a very well-known gentleman was the keynote speaker. And he arose and said, looking at the women with their beautiful hats, when you women care as much about what you have in your heads as you seem to care about those hats on your heads, we will be better off.